The attack of the two demon saints of the Hun clan was absolutely terrifying. Not only was Xiao Yan's puppet injured, but Yao Lao himself was also wounded when he rushed forward to protect Xiao Yan. This was shown very clearly in the trailer. Let's take a closer look at exactly what happened and just how dangerous this battle really was. After Hun Yan appeared, the situation for Xiao Yan's group instantly became critical. Up until that moment, their main objective had been to reach the destroyed seal as quickly as possible and escape the Yao realm. Explosions continued to thunder all around them. The experts of the Yao clan were self-destructing one after another, sacrificing their own lives to damage the barrier. Thanks to their sacrifices, a breach finally appeared in the barrier. This was their only chance to survive. However, at the worst possible moment, Hun Yan appeared in front of Xiao Yan's group. He was one of the 4 demon saints of the Hun clan. His strength had reached the peak of the 7-star saint level, bringing him extremely close to the 8-star saint level. Even Yao Dan, the clan leader of the Yao clan, who possessed the strength of a 7-star saint, was weaker than him. Moreover, Yao Dan had already suffered serious injuries during the previous battle, while Hun Yan had barely suffered any damage at all. His mere appearance was enough to make the surrounding atmosphere seem to freeze. Hun Yan coldly looked at Xiao Yan. He clearly understood that the person standing before him was no ordinary opponent. A 5-star saint who was capable of unleashing power far beyond what his cultivation level would normally suggest. However, the gap between a 5-star saint and a 7-star saint was simply enormous. And this was not just any 7-star saint. Hun Yan had reached the peak of that realm, making the difference in actual combat strength even more frightening. The first person to attack was Old Man Shin Nong. He was not an ordinary alchemist. He was an ancient expert who had lived for an unknown number of years and possessed the strength of a 6-star saint. More importantly, he possessed the life spirit flame, which ranked 5th on the heavenly flame ranking. Against an ordinary expert, an attack of this level would have almost certainly guaranteed victory. But Hun Yan merely smiled faintly. His overwhelming strength completely suppressed Shin Nong's attack. The enormous green flames were unable to shake him. The difference between their realms was simply too great. Xiao Yan looked grimly at Hun Yan. Now he finally understood the true difference between them. This was an opponent who could not be defeated through ordinary means. Even Shin Nong, a 6-star saint and the possessor of the 5th-ranked heavenly flame, had been forced back by a single attack. Yet Hun Yan had no intention of stopping. He took a step forward, and in the next instant, Yao Lao appeared before him. As Xiao Yan's teacher, Yao Lao wanted to protect his disciple. He understood perfectly well that Hun Yan represented an enormous threat to Xiao Yan. Therefore, without the slightest hesitation, he released his strength. Do Qi erupted around his body. Powerful energy exploded outward and transformed into a torrent of energy that shot directly toward Hun Yan. But Hun Yan merely looked at him coldly. He did not even bother using any complicated technique. He simply raised his palm. The torrent of Do Qi released by Yao Lao was destroyed directly in front of him. The power of a peak 7-star saint was so overwhelming that even Yao Lao's attack could not force him to stop. Hun Yan continued moving forward. His figure disappeared instantly. In the next moment, he appeared directly in front of Yao Lao. What could a 1-star saint possibly do against a 7-star saint? Yao Lao's expression changed sharply. He felt the space around him completely compress. It was as if an invisible force had firmly sealed his entire body in place. Then Hun Yan's palm appeared in front of him. The palm itself was not moving particularly quickly. And yet Yao Lao simply could not dodge. The power contained within that seemingly ordinary palm was so enormous that the surrounding space had already begun to distort and collapse before the palm even reached its target. Yao Lao gritted his teeth and raised both hands, desperately attempting to block the strike. The explosive force crashed down upon him. Yao Lao's body was instantly sent flying backward. He shot through the air, and blood burst from his mouth. Xiao Yan's expression changed drastically. "Teacher." His voice was filled with obvious concern. Xiao Yan understood perfectly well just how terrifying Hun Yan's strength was. Even an ordinary strike from such an expert could inflict severe injuries on a saint. Had Yao Lao really been seriously injured by such a collision? Yao Lao stabilized his body in midair and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Seeing Xiao Yan anxiously fly toward him, he lightly waved his hand. "Don't worry. I'm fine. It's only a minor injury." Despite Yao Lao's words, Xiao Yan's expression remained grim. He carefully examined Yao Lao and made sure that he truly had not suffered any serious damage. Even so, Xiao Yan was unwilling to take any chances. He quickly took out a healing pill from his storage and held it out to Yao Lao. "Teacher, take this. It will help you recover faster." Yao Lao looked at the pill and then at Xiao Yan. A faint smile appeared in his eyes. "You've really become too cautious. In front of an opponent like this, we cannot afford to be careless," Xiao Yan answered seriously. Yao Lao said nothing more and immediately swallowed the pill. At once, the medicinal energy spread throughout his body, gradually repairing his damaged meridians and suppressing the effects of Hun Yan's attack. Only then did Xiao Yan finally let out a slight breath of relief. But he could not relax. Hun Yan was still standing ahead of them, and the most dangerous part of the battle had not yet ended. Xiao Yan immediately wanted to rush forward, but Hun Yan had already moved again. Xiao Yan understood that this expert of the Hun clan had deliberately attacked Yao Lao precisely to make him lose concentration. After all, Hun Yan's true target was still Xiao Yan himself. Or, more precisely, the Tuashi ancient god Jade. That was the most important objective. If Hun Yan could kill Xiao Yan and seize the Jade, then even if some of the Yao clan's experts managed to escape, the Hun clan's mission would still be considered complete. But at that moment, the Northern King appeared before Hun Yan once again. The puppet transformed into a black beam and shot forward at tremendous speed. Its body had been created from incredibly durable materials and had undergone numerous enhancements. The Northern King possessed terrifying physical strength and was capable of fighting powerful experts head-on. Even Hun Yan was slightly surprised by it. However, the puppet could not withstand the difference in strength. Its body was sent flying backward at tremendous speed. Hun Yan coldly looked at him. The Northern King rose once again. There were already numerous signs of damage across his body. But the most terrifying moment was still to come. Hun Yan suddenly disappeared. His speed was so incredible that even Xiao Yan could not immediately track his movement. In the next instant, Hun Yan appeared beside the Northern King. His palm was covered in monstrous dou qi. Yet the palm itself looked completely ordinary. But when Hun Yan's palm struck the Northern King's chest, a dull, heavy sound rang out. The Northern King's body instantly bent under the impact. His chest was deeply pushed inward. A small dent appeared on the surface of his incredibly tough body. The force contained in that strike was so terrifying that if the Northern King had been a living person, that single palm would have already taken his life. However, he was a puppet. His body did not feel pain. Even so, physical pain was not the only measure of damage. The fact that such a powerful strike had visibly deformed the Northern King's body was already astonishing. Xiao Yan looked at him. A dent remained clearly visible on the Northern King's chest. This was truly unbelievable. The Northern King possessed one of the strongest and most durable bodies among all the beings fighting alongside Xiao Yan. Yet Hun Yan had managed to deform that body with a single strike. This was direct proof of the monstrous strength possessed by a peak 7-star saint. Hun Yan had no intention of giving Xiao Yan even a moment to think. After sending the Northern King flying, his body moved again. He headed directly toward Xiao Yan. Yao Lao's expression changed sharply when he saw this. "Stop him!" He immediately unleashed a pillar of dou qi and directed it toward Hun Yan. However, such an attack was completely ignored. Hun Yan did not even stop. He simply waved his hand. A powerful stream of energy knocked Yao Lao's attack aside, while Hun Yan himself continued approaching Xiao Yan. And this was precisely where Yao Lao's role in Xiao Yan's life became clear. He knew perfectly well that he could not defeat Hun Yan. He understood that the difference in strength between them was enormous, and that a single mistake could cost him his life. Yet he still stepped forward without the slightest hesitation and stood between his disciple and the enemy. Because for a true teacher, the life of his disciple will always be more important than his own. However, the strength of a peak 7 star saint was enough to send even Yao Lao flying with a single strike. The final barrier protecting Xiao Yan had disappeared, and Hun Yan continued to advance. His cold gaze remained fixed on Xiao Yan, while the terrifying pressure surrounding his body made the entire space seem to tremble. There was no hesitation in his movements. He had already decided that Xiao Yan would not be allowed to leave this place alive. Yet Xiao Yan also understood that retreat was no longer an option. Behind him were Yao Lao, the younger generation of the Yao clan, and everyone who had placed their final hope in escaping through the broken seal. In front of him stood a peak 7 star saint of the Hun clan. The difference in cultivation was enormous. But Xiao Yan had never been someone who surrendered simply because his opponent was stronger. And at this moment, another possibility began to emerge. What happened next? The 8-colored flame lotus of Xiao Yan. Yes. The entire Yao clan arc is filled with incredible battles fought on the very edge of death. Danger surrounded Xiao Yan at every step, and this moment was no different. But this time, Xiao Yan was about to unleash something that even a peak 7 star saint could not afford to underestimate. After combining 8 different heavenly flames, the destructive power of his flame lotus had already reached an entirely different level. 6 of those flames originally belonged to Xiao Yan. The other 2 had been borrowed from the Yao clan. And thanks to his complete fusion with Little E, Xiao Yan had temporarily gained the ability to control these foreign heavenly flames. This meant that the attack Hun Yan was about to face was far beyond the 6-colored flame lotus Xiao Yan had previously used. The next flame lotus would be an unprecedented 8-colored creation. 8 different heavenly flames. 8 completely different powers, all forced into a single destructive existence. Even Hun Yan, who had already witnessed Xiao Yan's previous attack, would soon understand that what he was facing now was something entirely different. At the same time, Xiao Yan's expression became extremely solemn. He knew that he could not rely on ordinary attacks. He also knew that once the 8-colored flame lotus was released, there would be no room for hesitation. The energy within his body began to surge violently. The 8 heavenly flames slowly merged together. One by one, the different colors intertwined, twisted, and fused. The surrounding temperature rose rapidly. Even the experts who were merely watching from a distance could feel the terrifying heat spreading through the air. The space around Xiao Yan began to distort. The stronger the flame lotus became, the more unstable the surrounding space grew. This was no longer an ordinary flame attack. It was the combined destructive power of 8 heavenly flames. The 8-colored flame lotus gradually took shape. Thank you very much for watching, and see you all next time.